Voting, How You Should Do It and Why You Should, created by Naomi Gephart and voiced by me, Marissa Toole. We are both sophomores at Canterbury High School. This year's election, which is being held on November 3rd, is extremely important. For many of you, this could be your first time voting. On behalf of the Fort Wayne League of Women Voters, I would like to urge you to join the masses of people our age who will be voting for the first time this November. This video will explain why and how you should vote, as well as explain how to register, check your voting status, and the two primary methods of voting. This video is presented by the League of Women Voters, which was established 100 years ago in August in order to register women to vote. Since then, the League has broadened our function in order to register youth, marginalized Americans, and immigrants that have just become citizens. For more information, visit the League's website. It's easy to vote. If it is your first time voting, it is important to register before the deadline, October 5th. But National Voter Registration Day, a special day created to draw attention to voting registration, is September 22nd. In order to be able to vote, you must be a United States citizen, a resident of Indiana for the last 30 days, be 18 on or before the election day, not currently imprisoned, and have a valid photo ID, which you must bring to the polls when voting. Most use their driver's license as a photo ID, but if you do not have a driver's license, an Indiana ID card is also available for free. More information on the Indiana ID card, visit the BMV website. It is also important to ask yourself whether you are registered at your current address. To verify, visit indianavoters.com. Conveniently enough, visiting indianavoters.com also brings an unregistered voter to a simple way to register online. The process of registering to vote is much less intimidating than you may believe. Simply visit the site, click the Apply Now button, and follow the 4-step process, which the site will guide you through. Some of you may feel that your one vote won't matter at all and has simply no potential to change anything. However, that simply isn't true. Voting is extremely important, especially in state and local elections, not just for president. If you don't vote, you let other people control your lives, and as the youngest voters, we will live the longest with the consequences, good or bad, of a vote. Your vote will impact the future of your family and friends, not just your own. So why let other people decide that future? Millennials and Gen Z are the largest voting population. However, this age group has a low voter turnout, and as a result, leave the decision to be made by older generations, such as in the photo. Those 18 to 39 are the largest voting population and can plan their future when they vote. Your vote can impact gun violence in the United States. Gun violence has become a huge problem in the U.S. Data on gun violence in 2017 showed that the average of 100 Americans are killed by guns every day, which totals to about 3,000 deaths a year. From 2014 to 2017, gun deaths increased by 16%. So these numbers are likely to get even higher today. Of these deaths, 61% were suicides and 35% were homicides. But even non-fatal shootings, of which were approximately 100,000 per year, often have serious consequences. Compared to peer countries such as Canada, France, Japan, and Australia, Americans are 25 times more likely to be killed by gun violence. And guns are involved in 51% of America's suicides. Between 2014 and 2017, gun homicides rose more than 30%, and the school shootings have become more and more of a problem for American children. Not only that, but we have seen a rise in hate-based shootings, such as shootings at the Squirrel Hill Synagogue in Pittsburgh, or at a Walmart in El Paso. Some may disregard gun violence and claim it does not impact them, but it does. Gun violence costs our economy more than $229 billion every year, which affects every American citizen. Clearly, gun violence is a pressing issue that must be addressed. But how? Ask yourself questions such as, how do we prevent school shootings? And who should not be allowed to own a firearm? You will be able to find the stance of many candidates on this issue, and this will allow you to make the most informed decision on Election Day. Your vote also impacts the environment. Some believe that climate change doesn't affect them, but that simply isn't true. Less snowfall in some communities simply leads to droughts, but in the Midwest, our water is impacted by more frequent rainfall, causing many destructive floods. This flooding impacts our homes, and we will also need to pay more and more for air conditioning as our temperatures begin to rise. Wildfires will also become a significant problem, destructing our planet's forests, which are home to our wildlife. Climate change also makes our weather much more extreme and more dangerous. Some examples of extreme weather include blizzards, heat waves, and hurricanes, all of which can cause power outages, which in turn will lead to our electricity bill being raised. This extreme weather will also impact our food, as harvests are being eliminated by weather conditions. Not only will our weather impact our power, safety, and food, it will also impact our ability to travel. Obviously, airplanes are unable to fly safely when the winds are too high, it is too stormy. Our health will also be negatively impacted by climate change. Heat strokes, allergies, and asthma are all concerns for our changing climate, as are diseases transmitted by pests. A poor air quality will also be detrimental to our health in the future. Your vote can impact all of these areas. These are questions we should be asking ourselves about education. How will we deal with student loan debt? How much do we have to pay for college? Do we need more mental health care in schools? Every candidate has their own plan for answering these questions. Some believe we should invest in Title I schools, which are schools that serve a large number of children from impoverished families. Others believe that we should end Common Core. I encourage you to research candidates' positions on these issues and to discuss them with your peers, teachers, and family. Not only does your vote impact gun violence, but it also impacts racial injustice. Every picture shown here represents an area in which people of color are disproportionately affected due to systematic racism. The first picture is a school, which represents the split in educational opportunities by race. White students earn almost double the AP or IB credit of black students, and are 10% more likely to complete college. This is largely due to the differences in schools and funding within school districts. The second image is the police officer, which represents police brutality, which disproportionately affects the African American community. 30 million black people were fatally shot by the police between 2015 and May 28th of 2020, whereas only 12 million white people were. Considering that black people are only about 13% of the US population, this is a very large difference. The third image represents the income gap between people of color and white Americans. In 2018, black women earned 66% of what white women earned, and Hispanic women earned only 58% of an average white man's earnings. Also, in 2018, black Americans had a 20.7% poverty rate, whereas the poverty rate of white Americans was only 8.1%, and the overall income of black Americans was 42% lower than that of white Americans. The fourth image represents housing discrimination, as people of color, especially black people, are much more likely to be denied home loans than white people. Therefore, the home ownership rate of black and Hispanic Americans is much less than the home ownership rate of white Americans. The image of the ambulance is representative of a lack of health insurance and health-related discrimination, as 9.7% of black Americans do not have health insurance, almost double the amount of white Americans who are uninsured. And during the coronavirus pandemic, black Americans are more likely to become hospitalized due to the virus, partially since they are disproportionately frontline employees. The sixth image of the prison represents the incarceration discrimination in the justice system itself. Black males are about 5 times more likely to go to jail than white males, due to the fact that primarily black neighborhoods are over-policed, and due to arresting black males for drug offenses that white men are not often arrested for. Black Americans are also 4 times more likely to be under parole supervision. The next image represents hiring discrimination and discrimination in the workplace, as only 31% of employed black people are given high-paying roles, and 22% of Hispanic or Latino employees are given these roles. However, 41% of white workers are given these high-paying jobs, 10% more than black workers, and 19% more than Hispanic employees. The final image is representative of the lack of black members in Congress. As of 2018, only 10.6% of the voting members of Congress were black Americans. Obviously, this is not a proper representation of the diversity of our nation. However, not only can you help elect black candidates with your vote, you can also vote to end this systemic racism that affects people of color in every area of life. Many do not believe that their individual vote makes any difference in their future. However, this is simply untrue. One extreme example of the role one vote plays in our history is in 1876, when Andrew Johnson was saved from removal from office by only 1 vote, or 1 year later, when only 1 vote in the Electoral College gave Rutherford B. Hayes the presidency. In 1960, John F. Kennedy became president by a margin of less than 1 vote per precinct nationwide. As president, Kennedy established the Peace Corps and continued the Apollo space program. Another entertaining story of 1 vote making a difference was in 1920, when a young member of the House of Representatives changed his 1 vote on ratifying the 19th Amendment, allowing women the right to vote, after his mother sent him a note instructing him to do so. Other instances which prove that 1 vote matters are as follows. In 1867, the Alaska Purchase was ratified by just 2 votes. Without this purchase, Alaska would more than likely not be a state today. In 2000, due to winning the state of Florida, George W. Bush became president by only 537 votes. As president, Bush established the Department of Homeland Security and authorized wars in the Middle East. A more local example was in 1996, when Mayor Tom Henry, after demanding a recount, won a city council seat by only 5 votes. Without his experience on the city council, he most likely would not have become the mayor of Fort Wayne. As mayor, some of his accomplishments include completing the Ash Skyline Plaza, Parkview Field, Promenade Park, creating around 6,900 jobs and retaining 21,600 jobs, completing a riverfront development study, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Bridge, and enormously expanding the trails. One final example of the difference of an individual vote was in 2006, when Joe Courtney won the congressional seat by a mere 94 votes. Just by sharing election or candidate information to social media, it is possible to gather that many votes or more. You can incite that kind of change. Clearly, your 1 vote is very important, as you can help make history or make change in our city, state, country, or even our world. Although it may seem intimidating, the process of voting is fairly simple, but also vital to make change in our country. The final section of this presentation will cover how to best go about voting this November, as well as outlining different voting options to ensure your safety during the coronavirus pandemic. It is important to become an informed voter in order to ensure that you are making that right decision when it comes time to vote. 3 ways you can inform yourself are to research the candidates, look into the issues that are important to you, and decide how or where you will be voting. For example, you are concerned about the coronavirus. It would be helpful to see if you qualify for an absentee ballot. 2 of these useful sites are Vote 411 and Ballotpedia, both of which are non-biased. Vote 411 is a website which provides useful information on candidates and their issues. One useful feature is the side-by-side biography, where you can contrast both candidates and see which aligns more with your views. I encourage you to visit Vote 411 before you vote. The screenshot you see here is from last year. This year's Vote 411 will be issued in early October. When voting, it is important to realize voter suppression. This includes intimidation and disinformation, and restrictions such as the enforcement of strict voter ID laws, banning convicted felons who have served their time in demanding proof of citizenship. Other examples of voter suppression were the Jim Crow laws, and a situation in which, in 2008, Nevada Democrats received robocalls informing them that they could vote on November 5th. Which was the day after the election. In order to avoid these sorts of situations, it is important to visit indianavoters.com to check your voter ID status and to stay educated on dates, times, and methods of voting. In order to lower your risk of getting the coronavirus, early voting could lessen the crowds and lead to safer voting during the pandemic. The earliest you can vote is Tuesday, October 6th, at the Memorial Coliseum. But Indiana Wesleyan University, the Public Safety Academy, the Rousseau Center, and Solomon Farm Park also offer early voting, or if you cannot physically make it to a polling location, an alternative way to vote is through an absentee ballot. However, in order to obtain an absentee ballot, you must meet one of the following qualifications. There are more qualifications, however, it is unlikely that someone your age would qualify. However, if you are curious, I encourage you to do research and to learn more. The qualifications are as follows. 1. You'll be away from the county from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the hours that the polls are open on Election Day. 2. You have a disability. 3. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Election Day, you are scheduled at work and/or school. 4. You are injured or sick or caring for another injured or sick individual. 5. Your religion states that you cannot vote during the time that the polls are open. 6. You have a lack of transportation to the polls. You can request an absentee ballot by mail through indianavoters.com, where you will print and mail out a form that must be received by October 22nd. If you are voting in Indiana for the first time, you must include a photocopy of proof of residency with your absentee request. When returning a ballot, please ensure that it has returned to the election board before noon on Election Day. Due to the anticipated volume of absentee ballots this year, it is recommended that you drop off your ballot in the mail at least 2 weeks before the election. Absentee ballots are mailed beginning September 18th, and ballot drop-off locations are the clerk's office, the courthouse, room 201, the election board office, and Memorial Coliseum. You or a member of your household can drop off an absentee ballot. This video will teach you how to use a voting machine if you are voting in person.
How to cast your vote with Microvote Infinity. Push the button next to the candidate of your choice. An X will appear in the box next to the candidate's name. If you wish to change your choice, press the button again, and it will cancel your selection. You may then continue voting. To vote for all candidates of one party, which is referred to as a straight ticket, press the button next to the party of your choice. A straight party button does not cast a vote for referendums or nonpartisan offices. Press the Next Page button to advance your ballot. Press the Prior Page button to go back and review your ballot. If you wish to cast a write-in vote, press the write-in button in the office you are voting for. The write-in screen will appear. Push the button next to the desired letters to spell the candidate's name. This name will appear on the center of the screen. Use the space or backspace buttons to advance or retype the candidate's name. Press the Done button at the bottom left of the screen to accept your write-in choice. When your selections are final, the red lights above the Cast Vote button will be lit. Press the Cast Vote button and it will notify you with a "Thank you" that your vote has been cast. If the red lights are not lit above the Cast Vote button, you cannot cast your vote. Remember, you must view all pages of the ballot before you can cast your vote.
If you are able to choose the absentee ballot option, this video will be helpful.
Completing a mailed absentee ballot involves the use of several forms and documents. This video will explain how to properly mark the absentee ballot to ensure your vote will be counted. You will get your official absentee ballot materials in the mail from the Allen County Election Board. Let's take a look inside the envelope. First, you will find the candidate list. This document lists all the candidates and public questions that are on the ballot. You will use this document to complete your ballot card. Please note there is a number beside each choice on the candidate list. You will transfer the number next to your choice to the ballot card. The ballot card is red, white, and black. Find the number on the candidate list that corresponds to your choice. Find the same number on the ballot card and use a black ink pen to completely shade the oval space next to the number. When filling out the card, note how many candidates you can vote for in each office. For instance, you may vote for one County Council District 4 candidate on this ballot. However, you may vote for 3 Township Board member candidates. If you vote for more than the allotted number in each office, none of your votes will count for that office. Also keep in mind that you are not required to vote for every office on the ballot or for every vote that is allotted. If you wish to vote straight party in a general election, your vote will count for all candidates of that party except any at-large offices. For every multi-seat candidate running at-large and any nonpartisan offices or public questions, you must mark each individual choice. After you've completed filling out the ballot card, place the card inside the secrecy sleeve. Then insert the secrecy sleeve containing the ballot card into the white ABS 6 envelope. If you have more than one ballot in your household, check the label at the top of the envelope to verify whose ballot should go inside. Sign and date in the yellow signature box and seal the ABS 6 envelope. Your envelope must be sealed in order for your vote to count. Please do not reopen the ABS 6 envelope once it is sealed. Insert the ABS 6 envelope into the gold return envelope provided, seal, and send your ballot back to the Election Board office. Feel free to dispose of the candidate list after you have voted. Please do not mail the candidate list back to us. We cannot count votes on the candidate list. If you make a mistake on your ballot, contact the Election Board so arrangements can be made to get you a replacement ballot. Please note that mail delivery within Allen County may take up to 5 days. Therefore, you should take this into consideration when mailing your ballot back. The ballot must be in the Election Board office by noon on Election Day. Anyone who receives a mailed absentee ballot must be able to vote the ballot unassisted. If this is not the case, contact the Election Board about alternative methods.
Thank you for your attention. Please remember to register to vote by October 5th and vote on November 3rd. Remember that your vote will help make a difference in our society.